Iberia is super messed up. The same character actually appears twice. Okay, so the Portuguese's faction leader's wife is called Teresa. Historically, Teresa of Leon. Accurate. Okay, so the Spanish family is also very accurate, and the daughter of the Spanish faction leader is also called Teresa, who was the same Teresa of Leon. So the same woman who is married to the Portuguese faction leader and is 35 is also the exact same 19-year-old princess who you can control and find a husband for when playing as the Spanish. Oh boy, what a fun video this is going to be. I hear a lot of people say Iberia is very inaccurate in Medieval 2 Total War. I was always on the fence. I did not mind Iberia until I discovered the game gave them human cloning for Teresa of Leon. Today's Total War profiled episode is looking into the historical accuracy of Iberia in Medieval 2 Total War, Portugal, Spain and the Moors. Let's start off with the glaring issue, the map. The game starts in 1080 and this is the game and historical map during that year. Clearly it is a mess. Portugal did not exist, Spain did not exist, and the Moors did kind of exist, but that should not be the faction's name. Overall, to represent the collection of Islamic nations in southern Iberia, the term Moors is okay, but Spain should be Leon and Portugal just delete and have a faction like Aragon instead. Although despite this, there is a lot of accuracy built into these factions. Portugal did exist as a county occupied by another power. The leader of that county was the faction leader in-game, Henrique. His son Afonso would gain independence for Portugal and become the kingdom's first king, about 60 years after the start date. Henrique's wife in-game is called Teresa, historically known as Teresa of Leon. So Portugal as a kingdom is very inaccurate, but Portugal's family is not. Portugal's family is very accurate, and clearly a lot of research has gone into Portugal there. Although why Portugal holds Pamplona, part of Aragon at the time, I have no idea. Moving over to the Spanish royal family, the faction leader is Alfonso, who is Alfonso VI of Castile and Leon. Even his age of 40 at the start date is accurate, he was 40 in 1080. His wife, Constance, is accurate. His daughter, as you know, appears in the game as a wife to the Portuguese leader, but has also been cloned to be the faction leader's 19-year-old daughter. Accurate, in a way. The other princess, Urraca, who is also in the game, is also accurate. The game gives Alfonso a son, Rodrigo, who was not actually his son. Rodrigo is, I believe, inspired from Rodrigo Diaz de Viva, El Cid, as you may know him. El Cid did exist at the time, but was not part of the royal family, as he is shown in the game. Overall, Spain is not accurate, except with the fact they've got the Leonese royal family, as it just simply did not exist. But they were portrayed much better than Portugal on the map. Spain is shown as a combination of the two kingdoms, Leon Castile and Toledo. On to the Moors. Overall, their borders are not that bad. It's just a combination of Islamic nations, the Almoravid being the main one. But let's take a look and see how their royal family holds up. It doesn't. It doesn't seem to exist. I could not find anything about Tahar, the faction leader, and after looking into the Almoravid main families, I could not find any reference there also. Overall, I'm going to say that the Moorish dynasty in-game is fictional. Okay, so human cloning aside, is Iberia really that bad compared to the rest of the map? Let's begin with the Moors. The devs would have had limited info about them at the time and so decided to group them up into one nation. Also, it makes it simpler for the player. Overall, They have done this before with the HRE. The same inaccuracies with the HRE exist for the Moors. On to Spain. Well, clearly Spain would not exist until much later in the game's history, but it was called Spain so that players would be more likely to recognise which faction it was. No different than what they did with Russia in medieval two-talk war. And Portugal. It is out of date by about 60 years, which is the main issue. But so is Milan. Milan did not exist the way it is shown in the game. Overall, the devs clearly did their research, and we can see that with the royal families of Portugal and Spain. Therefore, they did this mistake intentionally, and I am happy they did. Yes, Iberia is very inaccurate in campaign, but compared to the rest of the campaign map, it's not too bad. Right, that's the campaign. I want to now take a very quick look into the units. Many units will be skipped, I just want a very brief look. I want to begin with the Moors, and about one interesting thing that I have seen a couple of people get wrong. There's references in the Moorish roster to Sudanese gunners and Sudanese tribesmen. A few people, just a few people, assumed this was Sudan and thought it was an inaccuracy. Of course, I get people recommending what faction I want to see next, and they give me reasons why it's inaccurate. That's how I know some people have thought this. It actually references the Sudanese region shown here, the Western Sudanese Savannah, which the Almoravids did occupy, or at least had influence over at the time. So I will say they are accurate units. Early game, the Moors have access to 5 different variations of spearmen, which, from my understanding, the Moors often used spears during 1080. They have access to the special swordsman unit, Hashashin, who were assassins at the time. It is good to see the name and fighting style being used in the game. Lastly, for the Moors, they have the dismounted and mounted Christian Guard. This unit is accurate. They recruited them from Iberia. The Portuguese have one of the best pike units in the game, their Aventuras. I found references to Portuguese having good pikemen, but that specific name I could not find anything to. I even tried it in Google Translate, I couldn't find anything there. Both the Portuguese and the Spanish have access to the Knights of Santiago, a religious order of knights from around the 12th century. This order still does exist today, protected by the Spanish crown, and currently has 35 knights. So yeah, that unit there is accurate. Last but not least, the Ginites, Spanish for riders. They are the main unit for Portugal, however the Spanish can also recruit them, and the Moors have the Grenadian Ginites. These are accurate as a light cavalry unit from the time. That is everything for Iberia. I hope you have enjoyed it. Total War Profiled should be getting much more interesting now. I have figured out where I want to take this series and what I want to do with it, and I hope you enjoy the new style going forwards, focusing more on themes and areas rather than specific factions. Overall, when I began my research for Iberia, I thought it would be a horrible mess, but it was not. There was a lot of accuracy there. Yes, it was not perfect, but no faction is. I am happy with the decision of the developers when it came to making this region. Overall, with my 5-star rating system, I would give each faction in Iberia 3 out of 5 stars. Even. Hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you in next week's episode. Please do like and subscribe if you have enjoyed, and goodbye.